on this episode of Mudhole TV. Mudhole's marketing team pushes the limits of MHX's advanced rod blink technology. Finding their way off the coast of Stuart, Florida, the team meets up with renowned captain Matt George to put their arsenal of custom rods to the test. The question on everyone's mind: will an MHX rod blank designed for heavy freshwater bass be able to stand up to the speed and power of one of the Atlantic's most elusive pelagic species?
Yeah, so we're back in Stuart, Florida. It's kind of a return trip, and it's a slight homecoming for me. I did live here in Jensen Beach for a little bit, and I would venture to say it's one of my favorite places to visit, to fish. It's a sportsman's paradise, really.
I felt pretty comfortable knowing that we were going to come down here and meet some really good captains. Captain Ryan Weir and Captain Matt George were awesome to fish with, and a true pleasure to learn from. And I think they were a little shook when we showed up with so many rods.
We don't have the luxury of running a 50, 60, 70 foot sport fisherman that has a library of custom rods. So coming into this, we knew that, okay, what can we catch a dolphin or a sailfish on, but also has enough tip and is responsive enough to throw a sabiki and catch the thread fins that we've got to have to run offshore. So right now we're just gonna run down the beach real quick. We stopped at a buoy marker and we're gonna hop from kind of rock pile to rock pile, chase some other boats around and see who's catching bait. I've got the sabiki rig with a 3-ounce sinker here, just depending on how deep we're gonna be. I've got that tied onto the FP 885. When you don't have a ton of room on a boat, I like to double up and use a rod for a sabiki that I can also use for a lot of other things. And this is 7.4. And it's out of the flipping and pitching series, but it's incredible offshore. So we use it to catch bait, and then we go catch sailfish, bonita, snook, anything that we're targeting with this FP 885.
So, when people ask me what's been my trip ever, this is gonna be it.
Yeah.
We need bait.
So any fishing trip kind of revolves around the weather.
Did you get a bunch? Okay.
We knew that when a storm moves through, it shifts the bait around. Well, we have to find bait first. So it was a situation of we came out of the inlet and the radio is blowing up with, who's found bait? I can't catch bait. Does anybody have a location on bait? What are we gonna do if we can't get any? And it kind of, your heart drops a little bit because you've got to have the bait. Blue Runner City.
We needed something, I don't know. Hey, we're gonna run down and check out the barge. There's still a lot of boats there.
There is a bunch of boats down there. So we did. We started burning fuel, running up and down the beach. We were in at 22 feet. We were at 35 feet. We went from a rock pile to a buoy can. And finally, we chose the right buoy. And the next thing you know, out comes a full stringer of 7 thread fins. And you're like, we got them.
How about that? Tangled up, untangled, y'all got them. Hey guys, we finally found a can that had some bait on it. Got a hold of the thread fin and putting that FP 885 to work. Woo!
There you go, buddy.
That is what we came to the buoy for. I think that's gonna do it, guys.
And so the vibe changes. Buckets, we fill the wells.
Come on, load up, boys, load up.
The next thing you know, we throttle up and we're headed to the horizon with sailfish on our mind. All right, boys, what do you think? That was quite the morning, huh?
I don't know about you guys, but I was really nervous early in the morning. We couldn't find any bait.
I had a lot of confidence in the captain, though. I think he knew all the spots, and we'd get him eventually.
Yeah, you know, I think, didn't we have, there was a hurricane system that came through, kind of pushed the bait around, but I think you're right. Captain Matt George, I had the confidence in him. There's your local knowledge vibe right there coming through. But now I think we need to talk about these rods.
Guys, let's talk about my favorite rod of the trip. Was the L905 that I think you put together?
Yeah.
The L905 is one of the most versatile blanks, in my opinion, that MHX offers. It's got enough backbone that we were able to fight fish with it, and it's got enough sensitivity that when we were catching those thread fins, we could feel everything. We knew when we were on them right away. The build came out beautiful. I love the CRB aluminum reel seat.
We did the LZR guides.
Right.
In Gunsmoke. So between that and, like you said, the versatility aspect of it and not being able to have 100 rods on the boat,
Right.
you easily could catch bait on this rod, take the sabiki off, put a leader and a circle hook, and pitch one right back out.
I think I caught a couple big bonita on this, actually. Really handled them really well. It's so much fun to fish with.
Yeah, I think that was, you know, a really great choice. Versatility, what was the name of the game there? All right, so for my choice, I went with the MHX out of the Nearshore series. We're talking an SW70MH, and I knew that we would be fishing a little bit of conventional stuff.
Right.
You went with a spinning rod. I like fishing 20-pound class with something like a Shimano Speedmaster. So I'm gonna build mine conventional. And yes, I did add a little bit of color here, and we did go with a spiral wrap.
It's a pretty crazy build for you.
But we'll get into that a little bit more in the coming segments here. But yeah, it was a little more than I'm used to.
I thought you lost your alignment tool, and then I saw it carry out, and I figured, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
That's exactly right. I had you guys in the first half.
That's good, right?
But we did it. So that's my choice coming out of the MHX. That's a SW70MH.
So we also brought some flipping and pitching rods, believe it or not, offshore. And Chris, will you hand me that? This is a FP885. It looks as good as it fishes, so it's a lot of fun.
That's true.
And then it has some great characteristics as far as being a freshwater rod, but they also carry over very well to the saltwater game as well. But yeah, I would say that's a pretty solid build.
Yeah, I like it. We did the cork, and then of course, with the FP series in the 885, I like the seafoam.
Sharp.
Definitely adds a nice pop of color.
It really does. And I think we've got something like 12 or 14 different colors there from kind of mild to wild. So you can kind of dress that
Absolutely.
as you see fit. And in that FP series, didn't you guys build an FP 937?
We might have.
We actually built a pretty sweet rod too, and I think you're gonna see it here later on.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that one.
It's a good one.
All right, Guff, I think it's about time to get back out on the water.
I think there's some pretty good action coming up for us.
Let's do it.
Mudhole TV is brought to you by MHX Rod Blanks, the benchmark for rod blank quality and performance. Browse over 500 of the world's best blanks at mudhole.com/TV.
Hey guys, Chris here from Mudhole Custom Tackle. We are down in Stuart, Florida. We've got a fleet of custom rods, and it's time to test them out on the water. With me today is Matt George, the man down here.
What's going on, Chris?
How you doing,
Good
man?
to see you, man. Welcome. Welcome to Stuart.
I can't be happier that we're back, honestly. You know, so what do? We just ran out, we caught some bait.
Yeah, we struggled a little bit to catch the bait, but we did. Okay. We get it dialed in, and now we're ready to go.
That's it. Well, that's what separates the men from the boys, right? You know, so we had to hunt around a little bit, but hopped to some rock piles, found a buoy can, and now we're gonna head offshore. I know you're kind of the sailfish guy, so we wanna look for a sailfish. Maybe we'll catch some bonita, let it pull on some of these. Test out the strength of the MHX rods here.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, let's go do it. I'm looking forward to getting these custom rods bent and see what they're like.
That sounds great, man. Let's hit it.
All right, man. Let's go.
Cool. You know, coming into building a rod for Stuart, you know it's live bait centered. You know you're going to be looking for sailfish. That's the goal. But you know that a bonita or a kingfish could be lurking around the corner. I chose the power tip rod That's an MHX blank out of the saltwater series. It's a graphite butt in midsection. It's got a lot of power. If a bonita or a kingfish gets you vertical, I can stand in the front of the boat and put a ton of heat on him. But with the power tip, it's got a glass tip in it, so it gives you that telltale, that bait's getting nervous, something's getting ready to happen. Oh! And that actually really helps you pick the rod out of the rod holder and be sure you feed that fish, because if a fish picks up that bait and he feels pressure, he just drops it and swims off. I don't know if there is a better live bait conventional rod in that lineup than this power tip. Over here, boys.
Yeah, we avoided all that.
Yeah, right? You want me to tail him and I'll hold him? Do one more dance? Well, so we're running 40-pound fluorocarbon in a circle hook, and we're able to stick that kingfish. Look at those teeth. What are the chances that we get him on fluorocarbon? So, yes, we're out here looking for sailfish, fishing the power tip, you know, pulling the thread fins around. You really need that little bit softer tip, and this rod's got plenty of backbone to fight this fish with no problem. So, nice little kingfish, and we'll put him back in. Bye-bye. You know, when we went through the different series, in the saltwater series like the SW70M and the SW70MH, it's a clear-coated blank. It's got a carbon weave in it to add that extra strength to it, but it also has a lower diameter and the lightweight of graphite. So, you know, when you look at it, it's a very attractive blank. And it looks great, but there's a lot of purpose-driven technology behind these blanks that, you know, you just don't get from a store-bought rod. One of those rods I actually built in a spiral wrap configuration and caught a pretty big kingfish on it.
He's going, huh?
Yeah.
That little heat when he took off, huh?
He did, man. He was booking it. I don't know, Guff. I kind of like this spiral wrap. Yeah.
Now I see the concept of it.
Yeah.
So it's like fighting it like a spinning rod.
Yeah, it rolls over so the rod doesn't want to torque
Yeah.
in my hand. Especially now that we're kind of vertical here like this.
Yeah.
When it goes to the bottom like that, so it's really comfortable to hold. I don't have to grip the rod because I'm not fighting the rod and the fish at the same time. So
makes sense.
yeah, it's very good in these applications.
Come on. Has he got a little wobble to him? Any death turn? Got a little wobble.
He's leaning on me a
You
little
got
bit.
your hook? Okay.
So you got to have a certain art of finesse catching kingfish on a fluorocarbon leader instead of steel, right? Nope, just a single. I got him in the lip. I'm talking like barely. Need some longer arms, honey. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Okay.
That's a little better.
Yeah, right?
You got your platters on you?
Yeah.
Watch your face, watch your face. Look at those chompers.
Just falls there. What do you think about that?
It's awesome.
Pretty good kingfish, 20-pound line class. We're running 40 fluoro, right?
Yeah.
40 fluorocarbon. Look at those chompers. No wire needed.
Things all business.
That's it. So I was running the medium heavy. That's out of the saltwater series there. Spiral wrapped. It was really nice. If you could see when I had that fish vertical, that spiral wrap really helps out. So I'm gonna let this fish go and we're gonna get back at it, all right, guys? Here we go.
I wanted to talk about why you went with the spiral wrap on the 70MH and why you went with the more conventional setting on some of the other builds you brought to the trip.
Yeah, so on the 70MH, it's a graphite rod. So it's not quite as a soft tip as the power tip rod is. And to be honest with you, it was a little bit of y'all going, why don't you build a spiral wrap for this? You haven't fished one. So I was like, all right, you know, challenge accepted.
Had to give the people what they want.
You know, you have to sometimes. So this one, as we had mentioned before, I did go with the gimbal. So if we did get into, you know, something that was gonna get a little more vertical, the spiral wrap is what takes that torque out of the blank. And if I was gonna be there for a minute, I wanted to have the gimbal in case I did move the belt.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then of course, the CRB product AL HD seat there to tie it off.
I love those seats.
It's got the double locking nut with the Delrin inserts. It was going nowhere on the trip.
For custom rods, it's like you know what you're doing.
A little bit. I just play one on YouTube. On that power tip blank, because it has that really soft tip, the bite detection is incredible. Going from tip to butt, I did do the slick butt on that. Then I'm still running the ALHD seat. It's something I've got confidence in.
It's tough to beat.
It really is, you know. And then I know, Guff, you're kind of a fan of the turbos. The CRB turbo guides, it's something that if you do bang it around on the boat a little bit, they're very protected. And as you saw, you pretty much put anything on.
Oh, horsing, for sure.
No doubt. So, and then, you know, you guys, you don't give me enough credit for my, you know, mediocre decorative wrap, so I had to throw one in there.
Absolutely, and you matched the real seat and carried it all the way out. It looks awesome.
Looks great, man.
I appreciate it, guys. All right, so now for the outlier on this trip. I mean, you know, besides you guys not getting to fish offshore all that much, the FP 937 out of the MHX Flippin' and Pitchin' series. Got a little kind of familiarity with this blank, but in a different theater, right?
This is one of my favorite blanks for bass fishing.
And you know, I will say, I've been a big fan ever since it came out because it is 7.9, it is designed to flip and pitch, bigger weights, you know, 1.5 to 2 ounces, and pull bass out of heavy cover. But, you know, you guys did a little something different, right?
We sure did. It's one of the most intricate builds we've done, so Taylor and I kind of tag teamed the build and worked on it together. And we decided the FP 937, with his experience bass fishing, could probably and hopefully hold up to a sailfish too. And we built it to do it, and we'll see what happens.
You know, Guff, we're right. We will get to see here in just a minute because I've won quite a bit of money flipping and pitching with this. Won tournaments, the FP 937 was where it's at for flipping mats.
Right.
But it was nice to see the roles get reversed a little bit and for me to step out of the limelight and let you guys catch the big fish.
That's right, Guff. It was you that had the first shot of the sailfish, right?
It sure was, and not long after, I think you got a good look too.
Just have to wait and find out.
Mudhole TV is brought to you by CRB Products, developed exclusively for rod builders by rod builders. Check out their full catalog of equipment at mudhole.com/TV.
So we're down in Stuart, Florida, saltwater fisherman's paradise. We have the ocean on one side, we have the river on the other side. We're out here looking for some big game offshore. I have to say that I was most excited to try and hunt down either a sailfish or a dolphin, because unfortunately, even as a Florida native, I've never caught either.
I think there's unrealistic goals and there's realistic goals, especially for fishing. And I think when you come to a place like Stuart, you dream of a sailfish, something incredible to really take back home and a memory that'll last a long, long time. So finally we changed spots after a bit of a slow morning. We ran a little bit out, we went offshore and we were probably a little over 150 feet deep. And you know, it's one of those things in fishing where when no one's ready, that's when it happens. Something. Whoa! Sailfish! And I just happened to be the first one to hook my thread fin up and pitch him out, and it was maybe 3 Mississippi, 4 at most. It was in for maybe 4 Mississippi. And line starts peeling off. Woo. And before I can even think what it is, the sailfish jumps right in front of me. He's like, "What do you got?" And then he jumps. You know, it's funny because time at that point is no longer measurable, I would say. I haven't even thought about the time of fighting him until just now. It could have been 30 seconds, it could have been 3 hours. To me, it happened so fast. The only thing that stood between me and that fish was the gear. I just put all the faith I had in that rod, bent it over, and just kept fighting them, and honestly giving them all I got. I'm a fly guy usually back at home, and we'll put it to some redfish, but man, a sailfish will put it to you for sure.
Who's got it? It looks like Guffey. We're on the boat. I'm looking at the camera boat, and out of the corner of my eye, I see a sailfish come out of the water, and I see Guffey bowed up. We immediately reeled the rods in, we pulled the dredges up, and we tried to figure out how we could change roles, because now it was his moment.
Yeah, he's got a little bit left. I'm pretty much driving him, I think, a little bit. Oh, no, there you go. I don't know, he's coming in kind of fast. Okay.
Guffey!
Oh, man. Caught him on the FP 937, my first sailfish. Built this rod for big game, and it did it. Yeah, man. That's the best I've ever had in my life, no.
Somebody's going for a swim.
Oh, yeah? I'll do it.
I mean, we all wear a lot of hats around here, so I didn't know what to expect going out offshore. I was actually on the camera boat. I'm usually a guy that's behind the screen. I was lucky enough to toss a couple lines out in between taking pictures of the other guys and doing my job behind the camera. I see Guff hook up, and what a fight. What an incredible looking experience to see, like, the genuine stoke in somebody having a 50 or 60 pound sailfish on the other line is something that I had to experience. So originally coming down, I was dead set on fishing pretty much exclusively the L905. It was a rod we had put together for this trip, and I was obsessed with it. We had one of the new CRB ALHD reel seats, and I love the look of that. It had a beautiful butt wrap down the split. It's one of the most versatile blanks that I've ever fished with. But after Guff caught his sail on the FP 937, it was kind of hard not to pick it up when he took over the camera roll. I actually have a lot of experience with the FP 937 being a bass guy from Central Florida, because it's a rod that MHX actually markets as a heavy flipping and pitching rod. But it's also a rod that works really, really well offshore. It's pretty fair fighting. It's got enough back behind it to where you can muscle up, but it's not overpowering. And it's really nice having a rod you're comfortable using in other applications in hand. Having something that I'm so comfortable with really upped my confidence level, and it almost felt like home. I hate to say it, but that's my new favorite rod. So our captain decided to take us back to the spot that we hooked up with Guff. We waited, really didn't see much. And then I see a water boil. And I see my line starting to run. So my blood's running, my adrenaline's pumping.
Let's go, Taylor.
Luckily, I had a really good captain that just advised me to keep your line out. He's gonna come back, and I'll be damned, he did. He came back hard. This is something that I never thought I'd get to experience, and it was one of the coolest experiences I've ever lived through. There's really nothing like catching a sailfish, but the only thing that really made it better was catching it on a rod that I actually built.
He caught it on the same rod. Really? He's on the FP. What aboard! Taylor!
And I really can't recommend rod building enough to anybody that wants to get into it or anybody that's curious about it. Give it a shot. It works. And there's really no better feeling than catching a fish on a rod or a tool that you built for yourself.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Taylor here. Just pulled in my first sailfish with the MHX FP 937. I'm me watch the sailfish run and gun, and it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. We had a lot of jumps. This is actually the second sailfish in 2 days we've caught on this rod, so you would say it's got some pretty good juju. Guff and I both hooked up, and I can't say anything else besides this is the best time of my life.
Well, boys, what a time.
I am so excited that you guys caught those sailfish.
Absolutely. I'm still reliving the experience.
It's one of those things that I'm just never gonna forget.
No doubt. And not only did you catch your first sailfish each, you went in, upheld the tradition of taking a dip with the flag. That was pretty cool. And you had a freshwater rod and you took it offshore.
You know, it's the beauty of rod building. It all came together and we cashed in. It worked out great.
You absolutely, guys, broke the mold this one, no doubt. I'm so stoked that you guys joined us down there.
Me too, man. Thanks for all your help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right, so we're gonna run back out. Matt, George, and I are gonna get us out of here. Man, I gotta tell you, Captain Matt George, we had an absolute ball, Mudhole crew down here for a couple days. We cannot thank you enough for taking us out.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys came down, got to experience what we have down here. You got to see a couple sailfish. It was great times on the water. Got to test out the gear. You guys are making some amazing products, and you know, I wish you guys all the best.
Absolutely, man. Well, again, we can't thank you enough. You know, we brought a number of different custom rods. We built them ahead of time, knowing what we were gonna do. You know, we ran out, caught bait each morning, then ran offshore, kicked around a little, slow trolled, and had a great, variety. You know, like you said, from sailfish to bonito, I caught a couple nice kingfish, caught a barracuda, things like that. It really, I know the team really loved it.
Yeah, it was pretty neat to see some of your products, some of the rods with the crossover, being able to go catch a sailfish, but then bring that same exact rod in and fish for snook and use it for topwater. You know, you can pretty much chase a lot of species with one rod.
Absolutely.
Pretty neat.
Dude, again, thank you so much. I hope we can come back soon. And guys, I hope you enjoyed the show, checking out the custom rods. As always, run over to mudhole.com. We've got the resources tab. Anything that you want to know about custom rod building, mudhole.com. Run over there and check that out. And until next time, we'll see you guys on the water.
Take care.
See ya.
So Taylor and I, we both caught a good sailfish, and I think on the same rod makes it pretty funny, and the fact that we built it together makes it even funnier. But I will tell you, mine was so much prettier and better looking. Just look at it again, and you'll see. It's what dreams are made of.
He said what? Mine was bigger.